holding my breath and I'm ready to go. I'm falling right in and I'm ready to go. I found what I want and I know that we're on top, so I'll tap in and I'm ready to work.
Broadcasting from Central Kentucky, the headquarters of the Dr. My Budget podcast, where we discuss how to grow your personal wealth without having a major impact on your current lifestyle. Here is your host, Dr. Dan, the Finance Man.
Welcome, everyone. Today is Monday, May the 22nd, 2023. I'm your host, Dr. Dan, the Finance Man. Today's episode is sponsored by Nexa Mortgage, NMLS ID 2296654. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the near future, we have a team of professionals in both the mortgage and real estate industry, no matter where you're located in the country, that can give you all the information you need so you can make the best informed decision of how to move forward. To reach us or discuss your situation in private, you can always reach out to me at email at drdan@drmybudget.com. Or you can also reach us by call or text on the Make Kentucky Home Group at eXp Realty phone line at 859-429-0552. And we'll answer all your questions and comments. So let's dive in. My guest today has been in the real estate industry since 2006. He is a former broker and has built a highly successful team of real estate agents across the country. He tends to find himself one step ahead of where the real estate market is shifting, which has made him one of the most successful and respected real estate coaches in the industry. I'm super excited to have him on the show today to share not only his wisdom, and humbled that he agreed to take time to be on the show. Please welcome my friend and my mentor, Mr. Larry White. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, brother, what's going on over there? I am absolutely blessed, especially with where the market is and where things are going there. Man, it's just, it continues to get better and better. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, I'm super excited to have you here, man, as I mentioned earlier. So for those that don't know who Larry White is, tell us more about Larry.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, I got into real estate in 2006 because everybody else was making so much money, right? And I was a police officer at the time, and I was like, oh, I want to make money too, right? Because I took a huge pay cut going into the department. And so I figured that I could get into real estate because I had 3 days off every single week, and I could compensate my income that way. And then, as soon as I got in, the market started going down. Right. And I remember going to my mentors that were doing 100 deals a year. And I was like, hey, I want to do 100 deals a year. What do I do? Right. And they were big Mike Ferry agents. So they would essentially hand me a script and say, here, call people and say this. And I'm like, okay, these people, how many? They were like, call 50 people a day. Awesome. I was like, hey, these people said that they wanted to sit down with me. What do I say now? They handed me another script. I actually remember my first listing presentation. I was literally reading verbatim. I had my book out in front of me, and I was like, ma'am, selling your house is similar to selling a car. If you have a TV, if you have this, if you have that. And she was like, excuse me, sir. Sir, I was 26 or 27 at the time. And she was like, are you just reading off of your paper? And I looked at her and I was like, well, you don't want me to say the wrong thing, do you? And she was like, no. And I looked back down and I just continued reading. Now, full disclosure, I did not take that listing, but it was practice, right? I had never practiced that script before. It wasn't internalized and stuff. And so it was just part of that learning curve. So, it worked, right? I think my first year I did 8 deals, and then 16, and then 23 or 24 deals. And so I was consistently growing, and I was on a coaching call with Mike Ferry at that point in time, and I thought I was big shit. And I was like, man, I'm leading the office. I'm a top producer. I thought I had it all figured out. And if you know Mike Ferry, he's like, that's bullshit, Larry. And I was like, oh, well, he's like, I have more people that do your production in a year and a month. And I was like, really? I didn't even know that was possible, right? And so he actually advised me at that point to start tracking and measuring my numbers. I tracked and measured my calls, my appointments, etc. I didn't track and measure where my business actually came from. And so when I looked at that, I was spending 3 hours a day calling strangers, yet 81% of my business came from past clients' center of influence. And so that a light bulb went off and I was like, what am I doing? And so I didn't get rid of FSBOs and expireds, but I shifted about 2 hours of that 3-hour time frame to reaching out to past clients and center of influence. That year, I went from, I think it was 23 deals to 61 deals in 1 year. Like, that was the game changer for me. After that, I found I really lost time, right? Like, I could not do any more business. So we formulated a team. And so I got into more like like the Rainmaker. I think we did 322 deals, our biggest year of biggest time of the year. But the market was also already in flux. And so that's where I got into short sales, right? Like I got into short sales. I started getting into the REO and default market. Excuse me.
And why you mentioned that? So for those that are not familiar with REO, what does that mean?
So that is real estate owned, right? So think of like there's a lot of people that are at the courthouse steps buying foreclosed properties. When they don't get bought at the courthouse steps, they end up going back to the banks. And so I was sitting here prospecting to these 60 people or so that could give me one deal. And I started to realize, like, I could talk to one client that could give me 60 deals, that could give me 100 deals. And that's like, oh man, I just got to get into the business development side and then have the right agents for me to pass that business off to. So I opened up a brokerage for auction.com, and that landed me some really big institutional or bank-owned relationships. That brokerage didn't last. And so I took 44 agents over to KW, right? I remember telling my mom at the age of 29, because they had told me about this profit share model. I was like, oh my gosh, really? Like, I never thought I was going to have to work again after the age of 29. Fortunately, right? I always learn a lot of lessons, but I think my largest profit share was $238. I was like, damn, I can't even take my team to lunch. I can buy them donuts in the morning time, but that's about it, right? But we were doing a lot of business. That wasn't why I had went to KW. It was a great business decision. But then the same people that recruited me to auction.com went over to this startup company called Carrington. They had 286 agents at that time across the country. And I was like, look, guys, I'm really good, right? Like, I have a corner office. I don't pay for it, right? They hardly charge me anything. Again, it was a great business decision moving over to KW. And they came to me and they said, Larry, if you join us, we will give you 500 listings next year. And I was like, oh, so where do I sign? Because that was going to more than offset like the money I was saving there, right? And so they added a lot of value to me. I added a lot of value to them. That journey lasted 8 years. I helped them grow to almost 3,000 agents across the country. I was the head of business development. So I was going to these different banks. And just like any other business plan, right? It was creating the funnel, the opportunities, adding massive value to those clients, and following up until they needed me. And that is the same process that I do today. After that, I went to work for one of my largest clients that I used to carry over 2,000 listings at a time with. And I helped build out their referral network. We implemented a membership program. We bought ForSaleByOwner.com as an incubation system to produce more leads and stuff like that. And I would coach and train all of those agents. Along that journey somewhere, I did coach and train for Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry's son. Like my niche was helping teams and brokerages kind of grow. So, man, it has been a wonderful career. And the past 5 years, I have literally been setting up for these next 5 years. Like, everybody's been making money in this up market. Now we're seeing it kind of like fluctuate, like in this range. We see interest rates. A lot of people are scared. I'm like, yeah, this is what I've been waiting for. I've actually been calling for this market because we've gone straight up for 13 years. And what goes up comes down. Our average real estate market cycle lasts 8 to 12 years. And so we're by far past like the long side of that market, right? right? And I'm not a doomsday prepper or anything like that, because 80% of homes that foreclosed on last year had over 20% equity. So in the last market, the homes were foreclosing at 500, but they were worth 250. So investors weren't buying them at the courthouse steps. It all ended up back with the banks. This time, they're foreclosing at 250 and worth 400 or 500. So they're being bought up here. So there's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? The cheese is all still there, guys. You just have to figure out where it's going to be. And I can tell you, my group here in Houston, we've taken over 64 listings so far this year. So people are like, the market's not going to crash. There's not going to be these opportunities. Cool. You keep saying that. I'm going to keep taking these listings. And if you're ever open to other opportunities, we can talk to see if there's a good fit. And I'm going to be totally okay either way. So that's where we're at right now. But I've been prepping for this for a long time. I think it's well overdue. The whole pandemic, and I don't think we can say the C word when we're doing this. Like, otherwise we get taken off, or like we get canceled and stuff here. But like, literally, that has just kind of pushed the market about 3 years in my eyes, and kind of kicked the can down the street. So that's kind of my journey and what, like a 10-minute recap here.
Yeah. Wow. So many great nuggets dropped just in that segment alone. So if you all appreciate this content, you want to learn more, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, give it a like, drop a comment. And in the meantime, we're going to keep on cruising. So Larry, what are some of the current projects you've got going on right now that people need to be aware of?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things, right? Any agent that I partner with, I want to add massive value to. So the only way that we're going to do business is if I truly believe I can help you increase production, decrease your cost of running a business, and build wealth. So one of the projects that I have going on I'll mention 3 things that we have going on right now. One is I used to work for Tom Ferry, and now I'm working with Tom Ferry. So one of his top pupils now runs a syndication program for Tom Ferry, where they're looking for large frame apartment complexes that they can buy under market value. They're generally looking for the ugliest unit on the street, right? That like they're looking for A, B level commercial type projects, but that maybe they're C, D level quality. So we're going in, we're rehabbing massive ones. And so this provides a lot of things for the agents that I work with, because when I go to, I'm like, Daniel, look, we've made money. Now let's keep money and help that money make more for us, right?
Yeah.
And so just off the bat, I'm going to give you an example of one of the projects that we did. It was 239 units just outside of NASA Space Center in Houston, Texas. Right. With the lack of inventory right now, inventory is very limited and rental prices are going up. So hypothetically speaking, if you invested $100,000 in that project, at the end of the year, you would get a K1 for negative $70,000. And for those of you guys that don't know what that means, let's say you have a salaried job and you made $100,000. Literally, now the IRS is going to equate you to making $30,000 that year. And $30,000 is what you have to pay taxes on. And now with that project, we're putting solar, and keep in mind, I'm not an accountant. This is not financial advice. I'm telling you the reasons why I invested in this project, right? Now we're putting solar on this, right? We're putting LED lights, sustainable energy. And now we're getting a 30% tax credit. So we reduced our tax basis from 100,000 down to 30. And now off of the $30,000 that we have to pay taxes on, we get a 1-for-1 tax credit, right? Now this project is cash flowing, right? So now I'm getting monthly revenue, and we have a 5 to 7 year exit strategy at a 2 to 3 times multiple. So if you invested 100, the goal is that we sell and you get to collect $200,000 to $300,000 on that. So all of those things combined were a no-brainer for me. And when we cash out of that, we're going to do a 1031 exchange to delay, like to basically push off the taxes of when we pay that, invest it into the next project, wash, rinse, repeat, and do it over and over and over again. So again, for me, it's not just about real estate production. It's about protecting the assets, protecting the money that we make, limiting our tax liability. And these are things I just surround myself with people that are a lot smarter than me. Like, I didn't make all of this up, right? But I would have probably invested for any one of those reasons. But when you start stacking it all up, and so if anybody's listening here that's interested, you can reach out to Daniel David. You can reach out to me. Like I have no problem you sharing that, because like we want to help create generational wealth for like our clients, our agents, right? Like anybody that we work with at the end of the day, because I think that adds value. So that's one of the projects that we're doing. I have a 20-acre ranch up in Fredericksburg that we're building a tiny home community on. We have 3 units and stuff right now. And now we're looking at infrastructure like water, sewer, septic, etc., so that we can add more units, which has been awesome. And then along with that, I'm looking to buy a ghost town in Texas right now. I'm so excited. It's 10 acres on the border. Like, it's about an hour outside of El Paso. I'm going to meet with the owner. It has a motel, a restaurant, 2 houses, 2 water towers, etc. And like, my mind is racing with how many things that we can do with that. So I love my Fredericksburg and that project together, because I also work with some tiny home builders that will basically donate the units, and we'll do kind of a revenue share in order to kind of rent them out and stuff there. So that's the second part. And then really like going back to the real estate production side, it's finding the right leaders, right, that want to get into the REO or the institutional space that could take 60 listings like we have so far this year and leverage that for open houses, for buyer leads, for marketing, for advertising, to help other people grow their business. I find the more I help people grow unselfishly, the more that I grow, right? So when we take ourselves out of the equation, right, when I'm always thinking about me, it's never worked out all that well. And so when I find that, like, when I just do the right thing and partner with the right people that align with my goals and vision, everything grows astronomically. So it's really about finding those right people that are coachable, trainable, and have an open mind, because the things that I do are not like anybody else, right? Like, I mean, we just had the REO Connect conference. There was 144 people there last week in Las Vegas. We were probably responsible for close to 1/3 of the attendees, like people that I do business with and work with in some way, shape, or form. Like, we had multiple different panels that were full of all agents that I coach, train, and mentor and stuff there. Again, just prepping for this next real estate cycle, whatever that looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the 3 projects that I'm working on right now.
Yeah, just a couple things, not
Yeah.
major. So, Larry, obviously, you know, technology is playing a big part in this whole shift in the industry as we start to develop, you know, with the use of like AI and that now starting to come into play within the industry. So where do you see kind of like the market going towards, based on like when you first got in the market, how has things changed and progressed, and like what do you see the future of it being?
Bro, that's such a crazy question, right? Because when I started in real estate, like, let's say you wanted to buy a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house here in Katy, but you were like, Larry, it has to have good curb appeal, and I want this open concept, right? I used to go through, because this was before automated searches were really prevalent. They might have just been kind of coming to the market. So I would look through all the houses and I would say, hey, Daniel, I found you the 5 perfect homes. Here you go. Let's go see them. That meet your criteria. Now people are setting up folks on these automatic searches. So nowadays, agents would set you up on a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house in this particular zip code, send you every listing on the MLS, let you filter through. And then when you call me to go see them and you want to see 20, the agent gets mad. And I'm like, you sent them the homes. Like, how do you get mad when you're the one that sent them the homes? Like, send them better homes. And so I'm actually working with a startup company. I've been doing this for 3 years, just training this artificial intelligence to look at every photo on the MLS so that we can be better real estate agents. So it literally has a visual component to AI where it grades open floor plan, kitchen, this, that. And now people can, hey, I want homes just with great curb appeal. And now it will filter and adjust all of that. So we're in the process of doing that right now. And that's where I see the market. I don't think artificial intelligence will replace real estate, like not anytime in the near future. I don't think that we're ready for that yet. But the agents that learn to work with it and utilize it will go leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. Literally, my group, we are using artificial intelligence every single day. Just today, like my social media manager sent me scripts, right? Like we'll go pull content from our favorite creators that have massive results. We'll take their scripting, right? We'll put it into Chat GPT and say, hey, because now we've trained Chat GPT kind of to my personality, my persona, and say, hey, rewrite this in Larry's language. It will come up with a script, go to television. And so I just sent her like 10 different pieces of content that she'll schedule to put out and stuff. We're using it for descriptions, right? And we'll do this and that. It is not original. Like basically what it does is it gathers all of the content it can find and curates something unique. But if you're not using it, like, man, I think that you're missing the boat. You're adding time and effort and energy in, and that time can be better spent on dollar productive behavior at the end of the day. So that will help you increase production, efficiency, decrease cost, all of that. And then when that happens, you can reinvest your money into wealth building opportunities like those syndications and stuff like that.
Very cool. Very cool. So, with the current market, like here in Central Kentucky, it's absolutely crazy. It is a very strong seller's market still with a very like less than a month and a half of inventory to where like we only have like a half a month of inventory in some of the areas. So what's the market like in Houston? And then what should potential buyers and sellers know that would be looking to move to that area?
Yeah. So, I mean, I coach and train agents literally from coast to coast in more than 4 different countries, right? Every market is different. And this is where you got to lean into having that local expert, right? And then even within Houston, Houston is 2 hours from Houston, right? Like there's 6 million people. Every market is a little bit different, which is where I work with leaders in each of those areas. So one, it's about what's most important to the client is my only objection. It's not my job to sell Houston on anybody. But what I can tell you is we're investing in a lot of syndications and stuff here because the Texas Triangle from Dallas to Houston over to San Antonio, Austin is the largest and fastest growing region in the country. Right. And so there's a lot of job growth coming here for the taxes. There's a lot of empty land and stuff like that, which you're seeing like a lot of these towns starting to grow together and stuff that used to be distances apart. Just like in your area, there is a lack of inventory, like with interest rates and everything like that. So this is where I don't anticipate a crash of the market dropping. There might be slight corrections in different markets. Not so much here because like unless something drastic happened, like there's institutional clients that own hundreds of thousands of homes. if they decide they're getting out of the business and put those properties on the market at one time, that will adjust the market. I can't predict that or anything like that. We will adjust with that with whatever comes. But right now, it's a strong market. We're seeing rental rates increase, right? We're seeing interest rates increase. And so this is where I tell people to date the rate and marry the property. Because if that is the right school district, the area that you want to grow your kid, like it doesn't matter what happens in the next couple of years, right? Historically, real estate will continue to increase, similar to the stock market, right? If you take it's just people get so short-sighted on this, right? This house is not a piggy bank, right? It's a way to increase your tax, like things that you can write off on your taxes from your mortgage interest rate, right? And not paying somebody else's mortgage to live in it by renting. And this is where a lot of people can actually buy a home for less than it costs to rent right now. They just don't know where to start. And that's where the real estate industry is failing, right? Because we're not educating people enough on that. So this market is super strong, along with every other market. I mean, it's pretty much what you're saying across the country. Less than 2 months supply of inventory and stuff there. You have institutions buying entire subdivisions in Las Vegas and turning them into long-term rentals. Like now that puts a bigger squeeze on home inventory, on rent, like it's driving up rental prices and stuff like that. So this is where your local market professional should be able to analyze that for you. And if it's outside of Kentucky, if it's outside of Houston, right, reach out to me. I've created my branding. I may not be doing business there, but I will find you the best real estate agent in that area that you can work with and connect with, that is selling more, that has so much repeat and referral business, because they create raving fans. Like that is my goal. Like I might not do it personally, but I will find the right person in that area. You need the best painter in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Give me a call. I'll connect with the best realtor and get the right referrals and stuff for you, right? Like I just want to add massive value for people. And that's kind of how I built my business.
Okay. Wow, Larry, that is so insightful. Like just dropping bombs left and right. I really appreciate the information. So how can people get in contact with you? Because I'm sure everyone's like Googling right now, like, how do we find you, this guy?
Yeah. So my handle on all social media is Larry MF White. It stands for exactly what you think it stands for, right? It was an alter ego that I created at a Tony Robbins event when I needed to get things done. So at Larry, LARRY, MF White, you can DM me. If you want to put my contact information and stuff in here, my email address, I have no problem with that. Because before I do business with anybody, we have to talk first to make sure that it's ever a good fit, right? And so, yeah, connect with me on social media. Like, follow me. Like, see if you might think I'm a jerk, right? Like, I don't know. I hope not, but I never know, right? Everybody has you might be like, oh, he cusses too much. I could never work. Like, I'm okay with that, right? I've created this path and I tried not to offend anybody. So if I do too much, please give me some feedback. I'm open to growing. I'm open to opportunities and stuff there. But Larry MF White is my handle on all social media platforms. You can toss in my email address and my phone number. But that's YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, it's all the same.
Very cool. Well, Larry, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show today. If you all have found this information useful, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, just something. Let us know where you're listening from. We'd love to hear more about it. Larry, it has been an honor, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And in the comments, like, write down what was your biggest takeaway from this, right? If you made it through the show, like, what was your biggest takeaway? What was the thing that you're going to take and implement or add back into your business, right? Because that starts the cadence of accountability Otherwise, it was just a good podcast, right? And then you move on. So the opportunity is to take one or two things from this and actually implement it into that. And if I can help you do that more, please call, text, or email me.
Larry, thank you so much again. As always, just dropping nuggets of wisdom. I love it. So next week, we are actually going to be going out to California and talking about what's going on out in that market. So join us next week. Till then, everyone have a great week, and we'll catch you next time around.
Have a great day, brother.
Holding my breath and I'm ready to go. I'm falling